Welcome to episode 210 of the We Are Auto Show. What's up, Derek?
Mr. McElrell, my shirt that I am wearing, this is what is known as a palindrome. It says Master of Palindromes. Do you know what a palindrome is?
It's a word or phrase that's the same thing both directions.
Spelled the same way both directions.
Yes, forwards and backwards.
Yes. So, for example, Bob.
Yes, Bob.
Right? That would be a palindrome. Mm-hmm. But do you know what is on my shirt?
That would be a Taco Cat. Is Taco Cat.
Taco Cat is a palindrome.
It is.
What are some other car-related palindromes?
Civic?
Yes.
Right. Civic is a palindrome.
What about rotor?
Rotor, yep. Rotor's palindrome. What about radar?
Yes, that would be. My favorite.
What is it?
Race car.
Oh, yeah. I always love the meme. Is race car forwards is the same as race car backwards, but race car upside down is problem.
That is a good one. So let's talk about some race cars, because this weekend there was definitely some racing.
Yes, there was. There was actually quite a bit of racing, and some of it was quite exciting.
Some of it was, others were not. Let's talk about Formula boring, except the ending.
Formula mostly boring.
Yeah. So, where were they at?
They were at my least favorite circuit on the whole calendar, which is Baku, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Baku, the street circuit.
From what I understand, did just secure that they are staying in the calendar until 2026 or something like that.
Yeah.
So of all the races that we wanted them to get rid of to replace Vegas with, it's not this one.
They started the broadcast with that. They were like, congratulations, we're going to have you back in 2 more years. And everybody's like, damn it. Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a very narrow street circuit in the streets of Azerbaijan. Mm-hmm. And it usually doesn't really give you very good racing. Now, there was something interesting that happened, which was we had one of their little qualifying races.
Yeah, sprint race.
The sprint race. So we do qualifying, a race to set the grid, and then we do the real race. In rally, that's qualifying, a heat race, and then the feature race. Mm-hmm. That's basically what happened here this weekend.
How did quali work out before the sprint race, though?
Quali was kind of entertaining. There wasn't anything super notable, but in the sprint race, there was something pretty notable that happened.
What was that?
Not Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen and George Russell had some interesting contact.
Oh.
And I think George Russell punched a hole in the side of Max Verstappen's car, and he was all ree.
I did hear about that, and I heard that the Red Bulls were ridiculously fast around the circuit.
Yeah, they were. It's becoming Formula boring again. It's to the point where people on the internet are taking screenshots of cars going down the straightaway at max speed and cars not going at max speed. But this was an interesting screenshot here that someone took. It showed the Hamilton car, so the Mercedes, with full DRS at the end of the straight, going 324 kilometers an hour, which is basically max speed. Mm-hmm. It showed Max Verstappen in the Red Bull doing 321 at the beginning of the straight without DRS.
Okay.
So the Red Bull is 3 miles an hour slower than the Mercedes with full DRS.
And that's 3 kph.
That's K.
Which is
like 1 mile an hour.
Wow. Oh, yeah. My.
The Red Bull is significantly further ahead than anyone really thought.
That thing is way faster than everyone else.
It's so fast that the paddock has the whispers, has the rumors going around that they need to figure out a way to artificially slow this team down. It's not good for TV ratings. It's not good for Drive to Survive ratings. It's kind of becoming Formula boring again.
So should they have done that when Mercedes was on their dominance as well?
I don't think that it will happen. At least not. They won't explicitly say, here's, the way. But I'm sure they're digging deep to try to find penalties, issues, ways to penalize them.
They are the most scrutinized team on the paddock right now.
Yes. And mainly because they want to put on a good show from a competition perspective. And you know what? I'm kind of down.
Yeah, something like that. Plus, they had that budget issue with catering.
They did last year. And supposedly they're not supposed to have a lot of wind tunnel time this year. That was the idea behind putting the rules in the past 2 years here. But looking at those stats we just saw, it wasn't very close. It doesn't really matter if they don't have any wind tunnel time. They're still the fastest car on track.
Yeah, I mean, if they're almost the same speed as the Mercedes, and the Mercedes is full DRS, and the Red Bull is no DRS
in the beginning of the
that
straight.
means the Red Bull with full DRS is going to be, what, an extra almost 10 miles per hour faster?
10 to 15 at least kph. Probably not mph, but yeah.
Fair. So another 10 to 15 kilometers an hour, so that's still another 8 mile or kilometer. Yeah, so 8 miles an hour-ish?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's not fair.
That's a difference maker.
Now, interestingly enough, Charles Leclerc did qualify pole. He did win the sprint race, which was cool to see. He started on pole, won the first couple laps, then got past, and it was kind of boring till the end. So, tell me the results, and then I'll tell you what happened at the end, which is the most fascinating part of this race.
You want the results of the race?
Yes.
Okay, so the results of the race. I'll give you your top three. Third place, the bottom step of the podium went to Mr. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. That's his first podium and best finish of the year, which I am happy to see. Second place went to Mr. Max Verstappen. He did not take the win. The win went to the other Red Bull, Checo Perez.
Yes, it did. I will say Max was trying to run down Checo, which was fun to watch, but eventually he kind of just had to say, like, okay, I'm not catching him. The team's not going to let me have this. We'll just settle in and take our second. So I think that means it's going to be relatively close in the championship standings, which is good for entertainment purposes.
For the drivers?
Yes, for the driver standings.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me give you a little touch on standings as it is now. So, driver standings. Max Verstappen and Checo Perez 1-2. Verstappen in the lead at 93 points. Checo in second place at 87 points.
93 to 87.
That's a 6-point difference. That's not bad. That's pretty close.
No, that's like is that first, second? I think it's 25, then 18 points.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty well another Checo Max 1-2.
And then we'd be right on with
And then shortly after that, well, kind of shortly, 60 points is Fernando Alonso.
Let's go, Fernando.
And then he's another 12 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, okay. I'm actually curious that Lewis is in fourth. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Lewis is in fourth. Then you got Carlos Sainz, then Charles Leclerc, then George Russell, Lando, Nico.
Leclerc is that far down? Oy.
Yeah, Leclerc is in sixth. Real quick, the constructors. Take a guess at who's in first.
I can guess it's Red Bull.
It is. By an enormous margin. When is the earliest that someone can clinch the Constructors' Championship?
I don't know mathematically. My best guess would be like 2/3 the way through the season, maybe 3/4.
This is going to be a race or a record breaker to see how early can you clinch the Constructor Championships. Because Red Bull is obviously in the lead. They are at 180 points.
Mm-hmm.
You know where second place is? 87 points.
Oh.
Almost a 100-point difference between the two.
I didn't think it was that far.
That's a big delta.
That's
You've got Red Bull at 180 points. Aston is at 87 points. Then Mercedes at 76.
Jeez. Yeah, Red Bull is dominating. But let's chat about what happened at the end of this race. So I have a quick little video here, which is kind of fascinating. Now, I'm going to mute this. So you can see what's going to happen here is we're going to have the end of the race. We have Perez coming in to finish the race, which is good for him. He's going to win. But what the announcers are talking about is they're talking about this situation right here.
Whoa.
Which is Ocon has to pit. He has yet to pit in this race, so he hasn't changed. There's a regulation that says you must change from one tire construction to the other in the race. He, I think, ran a hard all the way to the final lap of the race, and he was coming into pit on the final lap. The problem is, in the final lap of the race is usually when the photographers are let into the pit road to go get the photos of the podium and who's winning and them crossing the line and all that stuff. So the FIA official that actually was supposed to let the photographers out there on the pit road let them out too early. And you'll see he comes through the crowd of people, and people are just diving out of the way. And it's actually a very dangerous situation to have people standing around in the pit lane like this. That's a hot track.
Bad look for the FIA.
Yes, so this was not good at all. The Sky Sports F1 team picked up on this immediately. They knew that he had to pit. He was the guy who was on the mic was like looking down the pit lane saying, there are people in the pit lane, there are people in the pit lane. He was yelling about it, and all the broadcasters were like, oh my God, what is happening? And sure enough, all of the photographers were able to jump out of the way, but they were inches away from like running over a photographer in a hot pit lane on the final lap of a race.
I mean, I know Ford is coming into F1. Is this the new Mustang F1 car just mowing over people?
Could be. Could be.
I mean, good Lord.
What a weird situation to have. Now, the FIA is investigating themselves.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes. Let me investigate myself. When in the history of the world has that ever shown any justice?
I'm going to slap myself on the back of the head or on the knee and go, oh, shucks. I messed up.
You bad guy. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I'm sure the guy that did let them on the pit road is getting in trouble in some format. I don't know how he can really get in that much trouble. Or he won't make this mistake again, ideally. But it could have been a very bad situation. It was kind of awkward. You'll notice in the F1 highlights package that they put up, this doesn't show up.
Yeah, because when I watched the highlights, there was nothing about this whole almost mowing over people thing.
No, they didn't talk about this at all. They don't want this to be seen, to be honest.
In my opinion, that is kind of a pretty big thing.
It's a big thing. It's a bad look for the FIA. Hopefully they get it sorted out. I will say the guy who messed up kind of messed up really bad, and it is his job to let them out on the pit road, which I understand, but you would think that he would be in tune enough or in communication with race control to say, like, am I good? Can I? Apparently he wasn't, and apparently he just let him out.
I wonder if the FIA employed someone who's not a race fan.
Oh, I am sure there are a lot of people in that paddock that are not race fans.
So someone that wouldn't know that Esteban Ocon needs to...
Okay, let me pose you this question. Why didn't the photographers know?
True.
They're race fans, assumingly.
They've also been looking at what tires they're running the whole race.
99% of the time, there is not a car pitting on the final lap of the race. But in the case that there is, you can't let people out on the pit road. You're just not allowed. So they're going to have to get this sorted out.
Yeah, if you got hot pits, you can't be going into hot pits.
Nope. There's no reason. There's no excuse to have that happen.
Yeah, not good.
No, not a good look.
Really not good.
So it was a boring race until the very end where the FAA made a fool of themselves.
Very much so, yes.
Yes. What other kind of racing did we have this weekend?
Ooh, my most favorite kind of racing. At one of my most favoriteest tracks. The World Endurance Championship. Raced at Spa-Francorchamps this past weekend.
The WEC, the WEC, the World Endurance Championship.
Yep. Raced at the 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps.
Yep.
And it was very much not Formula Boring.
No, it was pretty exciting.
It was really exciting.
There are a lot of cars in the top class of this. It's awesome.
It's a big top class, and it just expanded by one this race.
Yes, it did.
Because it had the first Porsche customer team in hypercar. That Jota Motorsports, that gold one. Mm-hmm. And I got to admit, I like the gold more than I like the regular Porsche Penske livery.
Ooh, really?
I think the gold looks really cool.
I think it does look pretty good.
I think it looks really cool. The Jota livery, oh man, that's really cool on the 963. Big fan. But what a race this was.
This was an awesome race to watch because it went from wet to dry to wet to dry to wet to dry, and it was kind of cold and damp and not good conditions for fans, but man, it created some exciting racing.
It's like the perfect spa conditions.
It really does.
Because spa, it's like almost guaranteed to have some sort of dampness, right?
Right.
But then you get a little bit of dry, so you got to mix it up. You got to figure it out.
Yep. This was such a cool race. The battling that happened, were there any notable battles that you saw?
Well, there was a lot of battles. There was battles for, let's see, third place for sure, and I think even first place in hypercar. There were P2 battles. There were battles in GTE. There were just battles all over the place.
P2 battles almost getting airborne through Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, I think it was actually the Joda P2 car that came through Eau Rouge Radion and then caught a little puff of air, and the whole nose of the car goes whoop up and then boom down. And you watch it and you think, oh my God, Code Brown.
When cars get air under them, they tend to lift themselves.
A bit like a kite.
Yeah, they turn into an airplane wing. Yeah, right. They're basically reverse airplanes when they're normally right side up. And if you put them upside down, or you get air under the car, they just turn into a kite or an airplane wing. And they go flying. Luckily, this car didn't, but man, it got very, very
I think
close.
it was about a centimeter of air to make that go up and over.
It was extremely close.
There were other big crashes, too.
Yes, there were.
There was the biggest one.
The Cadillac.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest hits we've seen in a very long time. Well, I can't say a very long time because I would need to think about Sebring. Because there were some big hits at Sebring, too.
Were they as big as the Spa hit, though?
How about Ferrari going into the barrier, the GT Ferrari going into the barriers and flipping? And then there was the end of the 12-hour when you had the Porsche and the Acura, and then that caused like a 10-car pile up.
Yeah, but that was like bouncing over each other. This was like into the wall through a high-speed section, and the cars just exploded.
Yeah, this was a big impact, not just a lot of a hard spike, right?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Going through Eau Rouge and Radion, one of the Cadillacs bottomed out at the bottom of the hill, which we're looking at now, and went up into the barriers near the grandstands. The car was just flung to a million bits. That was the new car in this. Yeah. I think there were two different new cars, weren't there? Mm-hmm. Because there was the new Cadillac and there was the new Joda Porsche. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be awesome coming up for Le Mans. 'Cause I think there was already 11 cars in the class, which is pretty cool.
Was it 11 or 12? It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, regardless. There was that crash. There was a Ferrari hypercar that put it in the wall going down the hill toward Eau Rouge and Radion. It was kind of a weird situation. You just snap oversteer, like in third gear. It was kind of odd.
Saw that. There was also a crash between the Van Wall and the GT Ferrari.
There was that. You're right.
And that was sad to watch.
Another weird one, but that was Jacques Villeneuve keeps on somehow crashing the car.
That did not look like his fault.
It looked a little like his fault. It did look like the Ferrari kind of gave him, you can go.
And then the Ferrari pushed him into the grass.
Yeah. The brake rotor failure in the last race, I'll give him that. There's nothing he could do about that. You could argue a little bit that Villeneuve could have been a little safer. I don't know.
Fair.
Yeah. Unfortunate to see that happen because I do want to see success for that car. It's an odd setup for that car, but it's
weird.
Cool. Yeah. I will say Toyota does seem to be pretty dominant.
They are. They've had the most experience with this type of hypercar.
Right, but I remember me and you debating as the season opened, would Toyota dominate with the pressure of having other teams? The answer is yes.
It is very much.
The answer is yes. They dominate.
It is making it a bit boring. At least to watch the winner.
Yes, but I will say the WEC doesn't do as much watching the front as like an F1 broadcast does, and they will watch the battles in the middle.
And that's good because with the WEC, there's so many more cars on track, so you can do that.
Yes,
right?
Yes, which I'm a huge fan of. So it's not a boring broadcast by that standard, but yes, the battle for the lead is not as entertaining. Mm-hmm. I was shocked that both the Toyotas finished, didn't they? Did they both finish?
1-2.
Yeah. I was shocked that they were able to finish 1 and 2. Usually, one of them will have an issue. Like at Sebring, one had an issue in the last race at, what was it, Monza? I don't remember.
Portimao.
Portimao, you're right. One of them had an issue. Again, this race, none of them had issues. They kind of just cruised. There were some safety cars. They got packed back up, but they still had the raw pace to be able to win that race.
They did.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I will say we're coming into the next race of the season is the big one. It's Le Mans.
It's the 100-year.
It's the big one, the Centennial Le Mans. Toyota, this is your race to lose. To be honest, that's their race to lose.
Someone take them out.
I don't know that will happen, but you never know. That's what we watch for.
It's a long-ass race. Lots of things can happen in 24 hours.
It is. I'm stoked to see it because Ferrari will give him a good battle. All the Cadillacs will give him a good battle. Porsche will give him a good battle. I don't know that the Glickenhaus will do great with the battle. The Van Wall might struggle. But we'll see multiple manufacturing battle it out at Le Mans.
Do you think the Peugeot 9X8s are going to be any good?
The car is designed to win Le Mans.
Okay. They've also had more testing than the majority of those cars.
Right.
And they consistently finish at the bottom or not finish.
I agree.
They seem very fragile.
They do seem very fragile.
They seem like you sneeze at it and everything just blows up.
Yes.
You can't have that at a 24-hour race.
No. Not if you want to win it. No.
Not if you want to finish it. Because, let's see, where did the Peugeots finish?
Way
Peugeot
on down the
finished
list.
2 laps down. So the first Peugeot finished 2 laps down. The second Peugeot finished another 2 laps down. So they both finished, but 2 laps off the lead.
They were running.
The Glickenhaus beat the other Peugeot.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Unfortunately.
You're not going to have good luck at Le Mans like that. You're just not.
Put your prediction in now. Who wins Le Mans?
Okay. My prediction.
Who do you legitimately think wins Le Mans?
I legitimately think the Ferrari hypercar can do it.
Really?
Here's why. That car is so goddamn fast in a straight line. Every single time the broadcast zooms in on a Ferrari with a battle with another one, they're not as quick in the corners, but as soon as a Ferrari gets onto some wide open throttle, just straight track, it's gone.
Yep.
And what is Le Mans?
Straights.
It's
giant
straights. Just trim the car out and just go fast and straight line.
Straights.
I think the Ferrari genuinely has the ability to win Le Mans.
There will be some interesting things coming into Le Mans, which will be the safety car situation where they're actually going to have full safety cars. They're going to pack everybody up. They're not doing the 3 safety cars this year, which will be cool to watch because we'll get the IMSA pack up that we always wanted.
Yeah.
Which could keep teams in it, right? You can do 5 minutes of repairs if they're under safety car.
It's not going to keep that team in it, though.
Yeah, we'll see. The reliability will be questionable. Ferrari's reliability has been good except for the start of Sebring. They were messy at the start of Sebring.
Yeah.
But can they make it work at Le Mans? I don't know. There's a ton of pressure. It's a hard track. It's not hard on the cars. If you can last 12 hours of Sebring, you can last Le Mans.
I want to see Toyota not win.
I do too.
I feel it could be between the Ferrari or the Toyota. I want to see the Porsche win because I'm a fan.
Right.
But realistically, I think it's going to either be a Ferrari or a Toyota.
Can Cadillac win?
I'd like that. I would love a Porsche Cadillac podium.
Okay. Do you think that they have a legitimate shot?
I think they have as much of a shot as the Porsche does.
Okay. Which is a okay shot in my head.
There's a chance, but it's not the majority.
No, I would agree with that. I think the Cadillac's going to screw up on an infringement. I think that they're going to not have the rule book laid out correctly and screw up on something like that.
So I will say, at this race, the first Cadillac finished a lap down from the lead lap. The first Porsche finished on lead lap.
Right.
So they're similar performance from what I'm noticing.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, it's going to be a great race. We're going to see good racing somewhere. Let it be in the middle of the pack or in the front. We're going to see good racing somewhere, and I'm stoked to get ready for Le Mans.
It's going to be sick.
So who took overall victory? Give me just the top 3 in the top class and then the GT class.
So top class. Third place, you had the Ferrari 499P. That was the number 51 car. Alessandro Pierguidi, James Calato, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Jeez Louise, I can't speak. Second place, you had the number 8 Toyota. That was Sebastian Buemi, Brandon Hartley, and Ryo Hirakawa. First place, the overall winner, that was the number 7 Toyota. That was Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Jose Maria Lopez. So Toyota, Ferrari. Then if we go on down to your GT cars, we had a Ferrari take the win. You had the number 83 Ferrari take the win.
Quick note, that Ferrari was the first female driver that's ever won a class in the WEC.
Oh, that's right. Who is it? Lilo Wadu?
Yes.
Then second place went to the Americans, the Chevy Corvette. Yep. That was Ben Keating, the American driver. Then you had Nicholas Veroni and Nikki Katzberg. Then third place, you had the Aston Martin Vantage, the number 25 car. So you had 3 different manufacturers take the podium.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Unfortunately, fourth place was a lap down. So you only had 3 cars in the lead lap.
I could see that situation playing out at Le Mans too.
I can, but I don't like it.
That's just the long race. That's the situation you get into with long races like this.
Yeah, you get a couple of problems and all of a sudden you're done.
The lap is longer at Le Mans, so you're less likely to go a lap down. But if you do, it's really difficult to get it back. Almost impossible.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right, so that was the WEC.
Yes, the WEC.
Right. Now let's move over to some IndyCar.
Yes, IndyCar. So I would say this is the second most exciting race of the weekend.
Yes, IndyCar was at where were they at?
Barber.
That's what I thought. I was going to say Barber.
We talked about this. One of our favorite tracks.
Yes, if you've ever gotten to drive it on a sim, drive it in real life, anything like that, it's a very flowy, high-speed track. And it's fun to drive.
And it's got a little bit of up and down and banked corners, and it's a cool track.
It's just fun to drive this track. It suits the Indy cars pretty darn well. I will say that. I wonder if F1 would work well here. I don't know.
I think it could.
I think it could. I'm not sure. Not exactly sure. Overall, there was some good battles up front. There was an interesting situation that happened near the end of the race, which was Will Power was in third place, and he gained something like 12 to 15 seconds up to second place. He was way back, but he was on a different pit strategy. He basically had fresher tires, and he could burn more fuel. He gained 12 to 15 seconds in a span of like 5-6 laps. So he was gaining 1 to 2 seconds a lap. He was hauling.
Screaming.
He's moving. He got up to the first and second place cars within like 2 seconds of them with about 10 laps remaining. And then he couldn't go anywhere. And it was like, this is a high-speed, high-downforce track. In the announcer booth, the guys in the booth were basically saying, like, oh, he'll pass him, no problem. Here he comes. He's going to take the win. It's going to be easy. And he caught him, and then the gap just sat still at 2 seconds for 5 laps. And they're like, oh, he isn't really doing anything. That's kind of weird. I guess Aero Wash is more prone to these cars than I would have thought.
Seems like it.
Yeah. With this being a high-speed, high-downforce track, once he got within 2 seconds of the car in front of him, basically you're in the turbulence of the car in front of you, and you don't get the grip you used to have.
Yeah, you don't have much downforce at that point, do you?
No, and he could not catch and pass the second-place car. He could not even get close to catching the first-place car. It was interesting to see, and it's the first time, other than I know at Indy, there's a lot of high-downforce wash. Because it's Indy. You're going like 220, 230. You're going insanely fast. But this is the first time I've seen it on a road course like this, which was interesting to see.
Very.
Yes. So there was another good battle that was happening, which was between first and second. And this was Romain Grosjean and Scott McLaughlin. And if you recall, back at St. Pete, those were the two that crashed each other.
There was some bad blood from St. Pete, it looked like.
There was. They did make it up in the paddock. They said sorry to each other. They got over it. But Romain Grosjean cannot win a race in Indy. And I hate to break it to you, he didn't win this race in Indy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I wanted to see him do it because he seems like a fast, good driver, and he could,
you know what?
He could get to the front.
He could have done it, but he made a mistake.
He did.
He went way wide in, what was it, turn 5 or one of the turns?
Yeah.
He came in, went way wide, opened the door up for McLaughlin, and Grosjean was out of his push to pass, which he was very frugal on his push to pass back at Long Beach.
Right.
He had like 100 some odd seconds left at the end of the race. And this race, he burned through his push to pass to put him up front. And then when McLaughlin went past him, he had nothing left.
No, he kind of also had the aero wash, and they were running a fuel safe strat, those 1 and 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't really use the push to pass. They kind of used it a little defensively if power was coming, but that was about it. It was a fun race to watch. That was definitely more exciting than the F1 race.
Some of the big pass that Grosjean made on McLaughlin was unbelievable.
Right.
Oh my God, he set himself up for a beautiful inside. Oh, just gorgeous to watch that pass.
Is Romain Grosjean the choke machine of IndyCar?
Ooh.
Can he not finish a race? No, not win, I should say. He can finish. He finished in second. Is he just Mr. Choke?
I think it's mental for him. I think it's going to take him to win one for him to start winning a bunch.
I think you're probably right.
I think that first win is the big one for him.
But I think that mental game is not great right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's got to go do some soul searching and some meditating here or something like that.
It's hard to do as a professional. It's tough. And there's something to be said about it. But, yeah, he needs to get that sorted because one win, I think, could change the future of his IndyCar career a lot.
I totally agree.
A lot.
Yeah, I think he's got to get the first. He just has to get the first one.
Yep.
If you can get the first one, I think he'll start rolling through some wins. But it's that first one that he's really, really struggling with.
He is really struggling. So, results. I believe that it was Will Power, which was in third. Then we have Romain Grosjean in second, and Scott McLaughlin takes the W.
Yes.
So, entertaining race. Where's IndyCar going next? Do you know?
They are going to Indy.
Yes.
Not the 500, but the
road.
GMR or whatever it is.
The road course. I believe the testing for the 500 is starting because we're in the month of May, and that's the Indy 500 month. And I think that they're basically bringing all the haulers there, and then they're going to switch between the two cars, the road course car and the oval car, throughout the weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming up to the Indy 500, which should be cool. There will be a bump day. The last I heard, I think there's 1 or 2 cars that are getting bumped out. At one point, they didn't even have a full grid. Now they have a full grid, and I think 2 cars to bump, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
They were just going to forego the bump day altogether, but they got it sorted, and hopefully we get some entertaining racing. Usually the Indy 500 is pretty entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll see what happens going around at 220 miles an hour.
Wild. I would never do it. I would never do it. Not in an IndyCar.
Yeah.
There's also a quick NASCAR race at Dover. I'm going to just quickly talk about this. Ross Chastain was absolutely smashing people from behind and punting people all over the place. It was fantastic to watch. That's the NASCAR way. They were all upset, and he was on the radio going, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, whatever. Whoops.
Sorry, didn't see you there."
Yep. Spoiler, Martin Truex wins the race. He wins the race in a pretty cool way. He just battled his way to the front, which was neat to see. And neatly enough, his brother, which is Ryan Truex, never heard of him until then, was in the Xfinity race. He won that race.
Oh, that's cool.
So the family won the top 2 NASCAR races at Dover, and that's their home track.
Oh, that's really cool. Family affair. I do like that.
That's super cool.
That's really neat. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So the Truexes win at Dover.
Interesting.
Yep.
So this weekend, there is a little bit of racing happening. There is another NASCAR race happening. There is NASCAR. They're at Kansas Speedway, I believe. But there is another F1 race as well.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes. Uh-oh is right.
Where?
We're going to take you to the fake marina with the fake harbor with the boats where you can walk on the water like Jesus.
Our home state, baby.
Miami.
Florida.
Under the overpass and say hi to the homeless guy as you drive past and maybe wrestle an alligator while you're there and go walk on the fake water and pay $2,000 for a ticket to, Miami. That's where F1 is this weekend.
All right. That means it'll be on not at 7 a.m. Great.
Yeah, again, like we talked about last year, it's going to be a Florida race in May in the early afternoon.
It could get weather. It could not. Lately, it's either been all day as crap, or it's really nice the whole day.
It will be either way very hot.
Yes.
So if you're there, enjoy sweating your ass off.
Sounds fun. Welcome to Florida.
Yes. So that's all I got for episode 210. You got anything else?
Nope.
Thanks so much for watching and listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a thumbs up and drop a comment on the video. Let us know what you'd rather watch. You get F1 at Miami or the NASCAR Kansas Speedway race this weekend. If you're listening on audio, send us that via social. Facebook is We Are Auto. Instagram is We Are Auto _. YouTube is We Are Auto. And our website is weareauto.io. So thanks again. Catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.